The views and opinions expressed in the following podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the producers, the affiliates, or digital platforms hosting this podcast. All content is for the purposes of education, conjecture, and at times entertainment. We promote inclusiveness and diversity. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Into the Deep with Jay Costa.
Welcome to Into the Deep. I'm Jay Costa. I am excited about today's returning guest. She is a true Renaissance woman, from entrepreneurship, modeling, acting, to writing, producing, directing, podcasting. The list is truly endless. She's the best-selling author of The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness. Today's guest is Elisabeth Hoekstra. Elisabeth just released a brand new book entitled The Mother Earth Effect, Connect to the Earth and Heal, which was also co-authored by Olivia Ramirez-Smith and happened to have a foreword by Clinton Ober. This book talks about so much. It talks about how beneath our own feet lies an amazing gift that Mother Earth has the potential to restore our health, our balance, and quality of life, and that the earth we live on is naturally equipped with a surprisingly built-in healing power that just might be the most effective medicine available. So, join me as we seek light and journey into the deep with Elisabeth Hoekstra. Enjoy. Elisabeth, thank you so much for joining me again. I can't thank you enough.
Yes, thank you so much for having me again. It's great to see you. And yeah, I think it's been almost exactly like a year.
I think you're right. Yeah, I was thinking about that. George and I were talking. I'm like, it's been almost about that. So I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, both of my books came out between with a year in between, so it makes sense.
Perfect timing then. And this is exactly what I want to talk about. I mean, I know who you are, but for our listeners and our viewers who might not know who you are, would you mind sharing who you are and what it is you do, my friend?
Yes. So my name is Elisabeth Hoekstra. I am the creative director for Forbidden Knowledge Inc. And also I host two podcasts. One is named Biohack Your Best Life, and then the other one is named Numb. And Biohack Your Best Life, I co-host with Billy Carson, and Numb, I co-host with Maria Carson, who's actually Billy's sister. So really, really cool. I get the best of both worlds there. And yeah, I'm an author. My first book was a bestseller. So that was The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness. We talked about that in the episode prior to this one about a year ago. And then my new book, which just came out, called The Mother Earth Effect, that I co-wrote with Olivia Ramirez-Smith, who actually works at Earthing, right, with Clint Ober. So this experience was lovely, amazing, and it was a lot of fun for me. So grounding has been a passion project of mine ever since I got started with it, because it just made such massive positive changes in my life. And ever since then, I just wanted to help the mission, spreading the word. And it's been my goal and Olivia's goal, actually, to ground more than 1 million people around the world.
Oh, I love that. And I couldn't agree more with such a sentiment and mission. I mean, I was super excited when I saw the announcement for the book. The foreword written by Clint Ober himself, for those who don't know, I mean, gosh, pioneer.
Yeah.
And this is great stuff. I mean, so Mother Earth Effect, like, walk me through. I mean, we talked about grounding on the last podcast that we did together, but let's deep dive. Let's go in.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know who Clint Ober is, he's actually the man that rediscovered grounding in the late 1990s. So he actually, he was a very, very successful electrician. He had a huge company and ended up selling that company. And then he almost died. So he had something going on with his liver, and he literally almost died. And he had kind of an awakening when that all was going on. And he realized that he didn't want to be stuck in this world of things, right? He was very, very wealthy. I mean, he had just sold a company. But he wanted to get rid of it all. So he did. He sold everything, bought a trailer, and started just camping and living around off the land. And during that time, he discovered grounding. Because of his electrician background, it made all the sense in the world to it. So he started experimenting around with it and realized that when you're grounded, pain goes away, inflammation goes away, different ailments in your body goes away. So he really took a deep dive with it in the late 1990s, and unfortunately, people called him crazy and thought he was nuts, and a lot of people wouldn't work with him. But since then, he spent over $20 million proving the science behind it through research and case studies, peer-reviewed case studies, and now there's over 25 peer-reviewed case studies out proving the science behind grounding, which is amazing. So anyways, he wrote the foreword for the Mother Earth Effect, and it's a beautiful story about how he got into grounding. And then really the whole book is filled with different women's stories that they had these debilitating health conditions, which they overcame from grounding. And it's so very powerful what this healing modality can do, and it's so simple. And it's available for literally everybody anywhere. So, I mean, it's just, the book is very, very intricate in that it shares these beautiful women's powerful stories. I mean, and thank God for these strong women to be able to dedicate their stories for this book, because I mean, it's some of it is embarrassing. We don't really like to talk about our health and what's going on with what's going on in our bodies, right? We don't really like to just speak it to the world. I mean, there's a woman in here that had cirrhosis of the liver and also hepatitis C. She was supposed to die, and the doctors are floored. And these days, her liver is back full function, and she's living healthy. And the doctors, like, they don't even understand what's going on. So I mean, it's stories like this that can be embarrassing. So I really, really want to honor and thank these women in this book for being able to get personal with themselves and grounding and share what they had, what their discovery with it was. So
It's so awesome. You're right. It takes a lot of courage for people to be able to share such personal stories, and I remember just talking a little bit about, you shared some of your personal stories on the last time we had a conversation. And, what led you to get into grounding? Like, how did you discover it?
So I have always looked into different things to help me feel better. I've been biohacking now since I was 19, not even knowing I was biohacking, but I was. That's when I first brain trained. So ever since then, I've always looked for different technologies and just different things that can help holistically help your health. So I came across an ad. It was a Father's Day ad from this earthing company, and they had this huge special, and it was like, I don't know, $300 for a grounding mat, grounding patches, a pillowcase, and a computer mat. So I was like, wow, this is a really good deal. And so I was like, I might as well try it. So I ordered it, and immediately when it arrived, I put the mat on my bed, I put the pillowcase on my pillow, I put patches on my solar plexus and on my shoulders, and because I have a lot of pain from holding stress in my shoulders, and then my solar plexus, because I just, that's over your biggest lymph node in your body. So I stuck one right there. And I laid butt naked in my bed on top of the mat and on the pillow. And I'm like, okay, what is this going to do for me? Right. So I lay there and really go into my body, and I feel how I feel. And I end up taking the deepest breath that I had ever taken since then in life. I was a 20-year smoker. So my lung capacity was not all the way great, right? So I ended up taking this deep breath, and it floored me. And I'm like, what is this, right? So I was like, wow. And then immediately I got sleepy, and I ended up falling asleep. So that right there, when I woke up, I was like, what is this, right? What is this? I mean, I'm breathing well, and I feel rested, right? And so I dug into the research, and I ended up finding Clint Ober. I actually hit him up on LinkedIn, and I was like, look, I need to be a part of this. What is this? Like, I need more information. Let's meet. I need to know what's going on. He ended up actually responding to me. And so we ended up meeting up in California with a colleague of mine. And that's how I met Olivia, who I wrote the book with. And then really ever since that day, I mean, it's been just full-fledged. I've been supportive and calling these guys all the time, like, what can I do? Can I help in any way? Is there anything I could promote? And I actually called Olivia one morning, and I was like, look, I'm writing a book about grounding. What's up? And she was like, I was like, are you guys gonna help me? What's good? And she was like, you know what? She's like, I'll call you right back. She called me back in 5 minutes and was like, let's write a book. So I was like, wow, that's how this all started.
Oh, that's awesome. And now, if you don't mind walking us through, did you reach out to individuals, or were these people that maybe you knew already? Were these people that maybe had come to you or Olivia separately?
Yeah, so one of the stories in the book is actually the story of my colleague that I met Olivia and Clint with the first time. She's a victim of a Pons stroke, and basically that happens to less than a couple percent of the population. It's very, very rare. You don't come back from a Pons stroke. So what happened to her? She had a Pons stroke, and that's where you have a stroke, where you get trapped inside your body. Your body goes into a comatose state, but you're still fully conscious on the inside. So she was aware of everything going on in the hospital the entire time she was in a coma. So she actually came to the meeting with Clint, Olivia, and I, and Clint grounded her there, and miracles happened. Miracles. And I literally watched this in front of my eyes. So you got to read the book to know what exactly happened. But let me tell you, I mean, it was amazing. It floored me. I'm sitting there like, look at what's happening to you. So she was the first person that I ended up reaching out to be a part of this book. And of course, I mean, she was all for it. She was like, whatever you guys need me to do, I'm with it. She's been supporting grounding ever since as well. So thank you, Brisa, for allowing your personal story to go in this beautiful book to help many, many people. As far as the other stories, so Olivia and Clint travel all around the world and they ground people. They've worked with the Deepak Chopra Foundation. They work with teachers in schools and wellness centers all over the country. They go in these places, they ground the buildings, and so they come across a lot of different people and a lot. And so Olivia had the contacts to be able to reach out to a lot of these other women to see if they would be willing to share their story. And luckily, we got a good amount of them to do so.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, especially if it's, I know we talked about this last time, we have experienced the effects of grounding, and realizing that, we're electric beings, there's electricity running through our bodies, our organs, and we're so separated from it in natural, everyday hustle and bustle of life. So we've felt the positive effects of it. So it's wonderful that these folks, I mean, of course, they felt the positivity of it. So they wanted to share their stories. Is even better for the rest of us to be able to benefit from and reading those stories.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, they're so inspiring. It's like these people some of them were given a couple weeks to live, and they came all the way back from it, just from the simple thing of connecting to the earth. I mean, it's such a huge passion project for me because I watched the sickness going on, the autoimmune disease, the diabetes, everything rising. And
right.
It's like these conditions are unnecessary because it's impossible to be chronically inflamed when you're grounded. Now, chronically inflamed. So a lot of people are like, that's not right. You can still be inflamed. And I'm like, yes, that is true. Acute inflammation, of course, yes. But right. It is impossible to be chronically inflamed when you're grounded, because what grounding does is it moves your cells throughout the body, and now no longer your cells are sticking together. They picture magnets, right? So a north pole and a south pole stick together. So if your cells do not have enough electrons on them, then they will be sticking together. So what it does is the electrons can now, a right amount of electrons can go on these cells. So now it's like south pole, and they are now repelling each other. So now your fluids are moving freely throughout the body, and your body's intelligence is able to get everything that it needs back to heal itself. That's all that grounding does, is it gives you the tools to heal yourself, as we're all supposed to anyways. I mean, we have intelligent systems. These bodies are incredibly intelligent. So really, we've lost that intelligence over time. It's like we've literally forgotten. And I mean, these bodies are amazing. You can manipulate them. You can manifest things with it. I mean, these bodies are they're the seriously most intricate robotic vessels. They're amazing. I mean, I studied this stuff literally down to each molecule, each atom in the body. I mean, all intelligent, right? All intelligent.
So true. It's just when you start breaking it down, like you said, like down to the molecule, and you realize just how miraculous and how perfect, how machine like, beyond machine like that these human vessels are. And how we've gotten so far removed from taking care of the energy force, and there's a reason why we talk about blockages. We talk about, for centuries, chi and everything. With the body needs to have that flow, and
Yeah.
to your point, this is what grounding is helping achieve.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. They actually did a study, right, of basically a nursing home, or nursing home, and they did a study between a ranch nursing home and then multiplex nursing home. And what they found was that the people who were on the multi-level nursing home had, I think, 40% higher risk in strokes, and were having more strokes than the people on the lower level, just the ranch level. And when you think about it, every 3 meters above the surface is about on average 350 volts, right? Every 3 meters. So the higher you go, the higher voltage you have.
Okay.
When you're connected to the earth, you are completely neutral, right? Because the electrons are flooding your body. You no longer have a charge, right? So every floor that you go up is a higher voltage, which means less grounds. You're farther away from the earth, less electrons, less grounds. Now you're positively charged, and your body, your cells, again, they're sticking together. Blood viscosity is thick at up here, right? So that study I found was very, very interesting, and it proves the science. Being closer to the earth and being connected to the earth will prevent these types of things. So I thought I'd mention that study. It's crazy.
Wow. That's fascinating, to think about, like, just how far away you are from the Earth's surface and the effect that it has on the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
On a plane, whenever you get off a plane, it's like you feel a little like sore everywhere and stiff. That's not only the air pressure in the plane, that's voltage, in my belief.
Right on. Yeah, it's so fascinating because, we think back to, I remember I was fortunate enough when I was younger and growing up, my parents would let us run around constantly barefoot and just,
Mhm.
all the time. And, sure, children have a lot of energy as they're younger, and they're growing up. But as we become adults, you can't help but wonder between nutrition, but then also that disconnect from the earth. We're no longer walking around barefoot as often as we used to.
Yeah. No, that's serious. That's serious. I noticed a huge shift with my son after I started grounding him. Which, before I started grounding, I thought it was gross to walk around barefoot outside. I'm like, ew, I don't want to touch like dirty. And so I really wouldn't walk around barefoot, and my son was never really barefoot. And when I started grounding my son, I saw a huge change in his energy. I saw a huge change in his focus. And what I really noticed was the fact that he became very connected to Earth, to Mother Earth, right? And instead of looking at a piece of paper on the ground and just being like, not even noticing it, he'll be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. How awful." Like, he gets very emotionally attached about these things. So that's like the biggest change that I noticed. And for me personally, it's like I respect the earth so much more than I ever have before. And it's almost like a nurturing, just family bond and connection that I have with this beautiful planet now. And it's something I never used to experience as much before when I was disconnected. So I would challenge anybody out there to just go outside barefoot for 30 minutes to an hour a day. And after a week, see how you feel. See how connected you feel with our planet. You will feel a shift. It's impossible not to.
I agree. And I'm glad you bring this up because so often, we could talk to other people about this, maybe some peers, and, out of sounding like we're being a bunch of hippies, and we're saying all these different things and they don't want to necessarily take it. Your book is giving multiple examples, multiple stories with science backing up these claims and backing up exactly what it is that people feel.
Yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Every single book that I write and plan to write, I always want to put links, research links, and just stuff for people to not only listen and read what I have to say, but do your own research to come to your own conclusion, right? Because even I'm a skeptic. When I first started grounding, I'm like, yeah, right. Like, put my hands on the earth and I'm gonna feel better. Like, get out of here. Yeah, right. I'm a skeptic, but the proof is in the pudding. I mean, that first time I grounded myself inside, I was like, "Holy crap, this is something deep." So yeah, I mean, I always put links and research, and I encourage people to become researchers to find and discover these answers for themselves. Because if you're just following along like a sheep, right, you're never really gonna come to any true understanding or true like agreements with what's going on, right? Because it's not coming from you, it's coming from me, or it's coming from someone else. So until you do the research for yourself and study and really come to your own conclusion, it's not really doing anything for you. So in the book, we have links, research links attached to every single story in here. So yeah, proof is in the pudding.
Right on. That's fantastic. Now, what's some advice you would give maybe someone who's, maybe they're working multiple jobs, maybe they're a single parent, and they might not feel like they have enough time to ground? I mean, we know it might not take long, but what's some advice you would give those individuals in those predicaments?
Yes. So, I mean, there are products. I don't like to be pushy and salesy with this because this literally is not about money for me. It's really about, I want the world to heal because I know what this can do. But there are products that you can go and get, right? And I mean, I mentioned the bed sheet. I mentioned the pillowcases. I mentioned the patches. I also have a computer pad. So anytime I'm indoors, I'm grounded pretty much because I have grounding material all over my house. And so for people that are very busy and can't even make it outside, or let's say you live in a cold state and it's wintertime and you can't connect to the earth, what you can do is get some of these products to be able to allow yourself to ground from the inside. And what these products do is they basically connect to the outlet in your wall and they connect to the ground. So there's no electricity running through them. You're not going to get shocks or anything. It's not a positive charge going through that cord. It's only electrons, right? Negative ions. Because every single house built after, I think, 1972 or something, they're all grounded. They all have every single outlet is connected to a rod that goes deep into the earth, right? To be able to prevent getting struck by lightning within your home, right? So all you do is plug these little products into the ground outlet and then connect them to you. You can put the patches on wounds. You can put the patches on the bottoms of your feet or on the palms of your hands, which is what earthing recommends. And yeah, you can stay grounded from the indoors all the time. If you want to stay grounded for many hours, I mean, get a sleep mat. You're sleeping grounded. So every single night you're grounded. So honestly, I refuse to go anywhere without my patches. And as you know, we travel all the time. We're all over the place all the time. So I make sure I'm bringing my grounding material with me because otherwise I'm going to wake up with pain in my body again.
Right. So it's really that simple, just having these different things. And full disclosure, until I started, learning more about it, I didn't even realize there were these devices or even just these things that we could literally just pop in a bag, unravel,
Yes.
plug in and go. Like I had no idea. I was ignorant to that,
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people are. And you know what? Let me clarify something very quickly for those who don't understand. So there are two different types of grounding. There is earthing, which is what I'm talking about, and there is grounding your energy, grounding your mind. And there is a huge difference between the two because one is calming yourself, right? Grounding, grounding your energy. The other is literally sucking up electrons, right? Your body is now sucking up negative ions, electrons. And you cannot do that when you're just oming, unless you're doing it outside connected to the earth, right? It is two totally different things, totally different. So for anyone out there that thinks that I'm speaking about the om grounding, that's not what it is. This is literally connecting skin to contact directly with the earth surface because there's an abundance of negative ions all over the surface. So you have to connect to something that is grounded to become grounded. This way that I'm talking about.
Right. And I think that's an important note right there to really delineate the difference between the two. And what we are talking about is earthing, which I know we can commonly call grounding at times because we're thinking about it. But you're right. It is earthing. I think, when I first started reading about these different things. And just, I would learn about how different cultures just stayed so well connected to Mother Earth. And I think there's something to be said. In fact, I know there's something to be said as the reason why these traditions culturally have been passed on for so long, and why people indigenously and they've just been connected and had a closer, not just connection. I think it goes beyond connection. It's almost like a symbiosis. It's almost
Yeah.
like we are, because we are our environment. We are what we are is what we're part of. And I think socially, when we've seen more and more civilizations, we've seen societies get away from that. We've not been as immersed in our surroundings, and that's where we've
Right.
seen such a change and disconnect amongst other beings.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree totally. I would agree totally. We've gotten so far away from everything, but it's because of our lifestyle, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
Western culture, we're so busy. We're too busy being busy to even know we have a life, that we're conscious beings in here. I mean, we just react all day, and that's no form of life. It's just reaction. You're never really experiencing your life. You're just getting played by your life, pretty much. If you cannot make any conscious choice within your reactions, it's like you're just a product of whatever's happening outside of yourself, which is unfortunate because I want to be in control of my life and manifesting my best life all the time. And you can't do that when you're just reacting. So yeah, you're right.
Right on. And I often think about like just the effect that, we talked about this last time too, but some of my friends and I, we talk about how we get so attached to our devices, our phones, our computers, and what that's doing to, our electrical grid within ourselves. And are we taking the time to go outside? Are we taking the time to just experience Mother Earth? Not as often as we should, probably.
No, we're not. We're not. And honestly, I mean, everybody that's a parent has put some screens in front of their children before. I mean, we all do it, right? We all do it because it's this day, it's these times, right? But for me, I try to limit my son's exposure to screens, right? And I've noticed that the less he plays, the happier he is. And he even noticed this, and he came to me. He was like, "Mom, I'm really enjoying playing basketball more and hanging out with my friends." And he's like, whenever I'm on screens, I just don't really pay attention to my friends or anything. And he's like, "I'm really starting to enjoy getting outside." And I'm like, "See?" Yeah, just put it down for a minute.
Right. And it's such a double-edged sword because like it's a tool. And here we are utilizing the technology to try and help others, reach others, to help educate others as well too. So there's definitely a fine line there.
Yeah, you just gotta have some balance. You have to have some balance and just know that it's not all about social media. It's not all about these telephones. I mean, they're very useful and valuable, but it's let's not get addicted to them and be scrolling all night and day, morning and evening. It's just becomes to be too much, and it literally becomes an addiction. So
Well, when writing the book, did you find that it came naturally? Were these things that, because obviously you've been passionate about it, was it something that kind of came natural, or do you feel like there was any part where you got stuck?
no, I mean, you know what? That's the good thing about my co-author and I. I mean, it was just so easy to do this. This project was so easy for us. I mean, both of us were I mean, we're very busy. We work with CEOs and we're very, very busy on a daily basis. So, I mean, we just didn't stress each other out about anything. It was just kind of like, let's get this done when we can get it done. Let's do this when this can be done. We're not stressing. We're not going to put any pressure on ourselves about it. And what is supposed to be manifest will manifest. And you know what? The great final product that came out, I'm so proud of. And honestly, it was one of the easiest projects I've ever worked on. It was very, very simple, to be honest. We just stayed in flow the whole time.
That's awesome. And you did say you've known Olivia for quite some time. You met her way back when. So, um, do you feel like throughout the course of this, coming together and collaborating on a project brought you closer?
Yeah, and you know what? Olivia and I are very similar people. So we're both hard workers, and I mean, we're kind of the face of what we do, right? And it's just great to be able to meet like minds, and just her care for for women and her respect for women and her want to and need to help women is really inspiring for me, because I mean, she's doing retreats, working with women, she's speaking to women, she's traveling, talking to women. I mean, it's just this woman is so powerful and smart. And I mean, I feel very honored that I got to do this project with her, because she's just a really amazing human being.
Right on. And for those who are, going to order the book or have the book, what's some parts in the book that are maybe some highlights for you or some favorites? I know it's hard to pick one, but like, what are some highlights for you for people to check out? Like, oh, be sure to check out this story.
Yes, I mean, Clint's story is pretty interesting. So his story's in there. And then, of course, you have my story, which is kind of a little bit, I mean, I touched on it on here a little bit, but it goes deeper into detail in the book. And then one of the stories that was really inspiring, other than Barisa's and the cirrhosis of the liver story, was also a woman who had breast cancer. And they didn't give her much time to live. And she ended up getting over it. And she's here today. So it's these type of stories that really inspire me. I mean, because doctors, unfortunately, they nocebo people sometimes and saying that, okay, you have 2 to 4 weeks to live, make your arrangements. And so that will tell the mind and body, like, hey, I have 2 to 4 weeks to survive. And now your body is scheduled to shut down during that time if you fully believe that diagnosis, right? That's called nocebo. Really, really terrible. So when a doctor is telling you, hey, you have a certain amount of time to live, and you end up beating that, I mean, that's really amazing, because that tells me that your belief is stronger in you than what that doctor had to say. And that you believe fully that you are going to heal and get over this. I mean, it all starts with belief. I talk about it all the time. I mean, Everything starts with your belief system. So believe what you want to believe, not what someone is dictating to you to believe.
Amen of that. That's the thing too, is, you do talk about this all the time, and we, thinking about what we're doing to ourselves with whether so many people are guilty of negative self-speak, whether they're realizing it or not. They're already telling themselves they're not going to accomplish something, they're not going to do it, or they're sick or they're tired constantly. And
Yep.
what are some ways you feel like people could easily flip the script on themselves?
Yeah, those self-sabotaging thoughts are the reason why people are not where they want to be in life, because 95% of your thought patterns are subconscious. So let's say you were abused as a child, your subconscious thought patterns are going to be telling outwardly, energetically, like, hey, I'm not worth this. I'm not worthy of happiness. I'm not worthy of love. I need to work so hard to be able to succeed at anything. I'm not good enough. And it's all of these negative self-talk, negative thought patterns that really drive us away from our true happiness, right? So to be able to reprogram those thoughts are so important. Some tips: wake up in the morning and write down 5 things that you're grateful for. Start rewiring your brain. That literally creates stronger neural pathways. And eventually, 21 days after you start writing those things down, when you wake up, you'll create a new neural pathway in your brain. And that will kind of shift you out of those thought patterns. Another thing you can do is listen to affirmations. If you're a person that, let's say, likes to listen to trap music, which, hello, I do. I love trap music. I really like the rap music. I like it. But at times when I'm feeling negative, or I'm feeling like I'm not feeling in my best and most powerful state, I will listen to affirmations instead of listening to the music, because everything that you listen to, that you see, that you hear, you are taking all of that in. So that's affecting you on some way, shape, or form, on some level, right? Energetically, physically, it's always affecting you. So doing a switch with what you're watching, what you're listening to, and something more positive will also help with those negative thought patterns. I talk about EFT a lot, emotional freedom technique. That's tapping on different energetic points in your body. And that actually rewires your brain as well. So these are all things that literally will take your brain, rewire it into a different way, a different pattern of thinking. And then if you continue to do so, then it will stick, right? Those neural pathways will become stronger, and it will start becoming your norm instead of something you have to work for. But for a little while, you do have to keep consistent on these things to create that habit, to create that new pathway, right? So then after that, it's almost automatic after that.
Right on. Why do you think that's so challenging for people to even take that first step to try it?
I think it's a lot of self sabotage in a way. I mean, I think it's a lot of people don't feel like a lot of this stuff will work with woo woo or it's this and that on limited beliefs, and conditioning from the way that we're raised and the way that we're taught to trust the medical system and trust what's being told to us by the politicians and the news and everything else. I mean, it's hard for us to kind of grasp different ideas and explore them because people are saying that this is not supposed to be right and this is right over here. So it's first hard to get out of that pressure of society telling you what's right and what's wrong. And then on top of that, I mean, trauma within people will make them self-sabotage unconsciously, not even knowing that they're doing it, right? I mean, I see it all the time. I'm telling all my friends to do this and do that. This will help this will help that. And they just won't do it. And it's like, I got to disconnect from all of that because I'm not going to make myself sick because you won't do something that I know will work for you, right? I'm not going to in turn make myself sick and then make my family sick because I'm in a bad mood that people won't do what I'm telling them to do. But it's just very interesting for me to watch it because it's like, I know what will help you. And this valuable information, I mean, it's valuable. I've done the research. So it's the conditioning is just so strong. It's so very strong that a lot of this stuff, a lot of people are like, yeah, right. That's not about to, I trust my doctor or I trust the Bible, that's devil's work and all, it's just the conditions that unfortunately a lot of society just lives under. And a lot of people are enslaved by those conditions that they're, supposed to believe. But it's like, man, once you can wake up and get outside of that, I mean, you can become a powerful, powerful being. I mean, literally manifesting your everyday to be whatever you want it to be, living intentionally. I mean, this stuff is magical, literally.
It is, absolutely. You're right, and you touched upon it briefly here, but you're right, that conditioning, and there's that the fear that just keeps people suppressed and oppressed and keeps them from being the true self that they are here to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's sad. It's sad because they strip us of our power with these religions and these things and the medical system that treats symptoms and never treats the root cause, puts band-aids over things. And it's, we've been taught to trust, trust, trust. And honestly, I mean, things have gotten better. This is a great time and age to be alive, but it could be so much further along if we were all just to get out of our enslavement in our minds and start trusting in ourselves instead of these outer stimulus things that don't mean anything.
Yeah, I see it in friends, extended family as well too. People who are constantly watching these news cycles. They're constantly attached to different outlets, and just they become these almost parrots, or just repeating what they're being told and fed. And it makes you wonder, like, well, what are your thoughts? What are your experiences? What are your feelings?
Yeah. Like you forget because you're so stuffed up with what they're telling you that you should be and telling you what you should think that you forget who you are. It's like we're literally like just complex computer systems walking around with a certain amount of data and a certain amount of REM space, right? So like once we get full of all of this stimulus and information, it's very hard to start thinking on our own. And that's what I feel like the system wants. They want these robots to just be walking around unconscious zombies reacting to all of these stimulus and just not intelligent, not reaching their full potential, because when you reach your full potential, no one can control you. So they want to keep people very controlled. So it's just a little scary.
Yeah, it truly is. And I feel like when I'm not grounding myself, when I'm not earthing myself, I feel like I'm easily a little bit more susceptible. And I don't think it's a placebo effect, because it's been years, where it's like if I get so caught up in work and doing things and I'm constantly being a human doing instead of a human being, I find that I'm not as connected to who I am and I'm not as fulfilled. I'm maybe a little bit more prone to be a little bit more depressed. I'm not. It's like, wait a minute, you got to shake it up, and I've got to get back to it, and I got to reconnect.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, even when Billy and I just got back from Bora Bora, he took me to Bora Bora for my birthday. And out there, I didn't bring my grounding stuff because I'm like, okay, we're going to be on the sand and beach all day. I don't need it, right? We ended up doing a ton of activities and then sleeping a lot because we hardly ever do that here. And so, you know what? We weren't grounded as much as we normally are at home. And I literally felt it. I felt it in my body. His pain in his body came back. He was like, man, I can't wait to get home and get grounded again. I'm like, oh my God, like, tell me about it. Like, I cannot wait. I literally, as soon as we got off the plane and at home, I stuck patches all over my body. I'm like, I'm back. And it's comforting, you know, it's comforting, and it's something that you really look forward to. Like, I look forward to laying down at night because I'm fully grounded at that moment. And I know that it's going to take the pain away. I know it's going to shift my nervous system down. It's going to downregulate me. It's going to help me focus and just think and, you know, think very clearly. It's just, I mean, you can literally feel the difference when you are grounded.
100%. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier too, but the chronic inflammation, everyone knows somebody in their life or multiple people in their lives who suffer from chronic inflammation.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's always, they're being prescribed something or, what have you, and they're maybe not looking at this, or maybe they're not aware of this modality. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's
unfortunate.
I'm so sorry. That's what I was gonna say is I think it's why your book, especially now, this is an important time for it. I mean, it's always been an important time, but I think especially now with the way people are a lot more open to the concepts and the ideas.
Yeah. That's what I am very glad about is that people really they're more open-minded these days, and they're searching for different ways because they're finally realizing that, hey, you know, what they're telling me isn't really working. I mean, if you could see just what happened and all the new research that's coming out about the stuff that, you know, I mean, it's out here now. You can't trust in these sources like you thought you could trust in these sources. So a lot of people are exploring new and innovative ways to feel better, to heal themselves. And, you know, it's less trust in that system, unfortunately, because they don't make themselves very trustworthy at the end of the day. I mean, they give pills. That's the answer to everything. It's like, here's a pill, here's a shot. This is what you need, and this is going to make you all better. When really, it keeps you between sick and healthy. So you have to keep going back to get more pills, more shots. And it's just, you know, it's all about money and capitalism. And that's not what we should be dependent upon in this medical system. I mean, our bodies are very intelligent, and I'll keep saying it forever. We have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to feel good on our own. So, I mean, you don't need to depend on a pill every month. And honestly, at the end of the day, look at the research. The pills, they don't add to you. They take away. They make you less healthy. They make you more unstable. I mean, a side effect of a depression medication is suicide. I mean, and then 80% of the time, and this is a study that they did, 80% of the time it's not working. It's not doing anything for people, right? It's literally not changing. The only thing that it's doing is creating some placebo effect within people. So, I mean, you got to do the research, people.
Well said. 100%. I couldn't agree more because it's making things worse, and there's always a side effect. I don't think there's anything that's been prescribed in the last 30 years that didn't have some sort of side effect. I mean, when we talk about old technology, we talk about, old ways, whatever that means to anybody, there's a reason why this worked for so long.
Mhm.
And the only side effects are the effects that it has on you in a positive way, like earthing.
Yes, yes. The only thing that you'll get from earthing, right, which is what happened to me at the beginning when I first started, is I got heavily detoxed when I first started earthing. So when I was sleeping on my grounding stuff for probably about 3 days, I felt a little like, ugh. But that was because my body was detoxing. I was heavily detoxing. I had never grounded in my life, really. I mean, I was not the person to go outside and walk barefoot. Like I said, I thought it was dirty. Like, ew. The only time that I would ever be grounded was when I would be walking on the beach, which was rare. But I lived in Michigan. So, I mean, you know, it did detox me. So I felt a little woozy maybe for a couple of days, but that was it. And then ever since then, I've been completely fine. Completely fine.
How long would you say you've been doing it at this point in time?
Let's see. I think I started grounding probably about 5.5 years ago.
Right on.
Mhm.
No going back.
No, never. Listen, people think we crazy. There's cords all over the place in this house. I don't care. I'm like, listen, I'm serious and I'm, I mean, our maids are like, there's wires coming everywhere in the bed. They're like, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
That's right. Got to take care of the body. That's so
Right.
awesome. And so, uh, with the book, you going to be doing any events or any public appearances with the book with Olivia or anything?
We haven't really planned anything yet as of right now, but I'm sure that we'll definitely be doing that in the future. Like I said, we're both so busy. She works over there at Earthing with Clint Over, and I'm over here with Billy at Forbidden Knowledge. So it's like we're so busy already. But I know we are going to make some time because, this, like I said, this project is so important to us. But you know what? We're not in a rush to do anything. We like to stay in the flow of things, not stress out. And honestly, it's been so calm and easy thus far. And I really feel that the people that are meant for the healing will find the book and will start grounding. So yes and no. To answer your question.
I love that. And I know there is a website set up for the book. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. It is themotherEarthEffect.com. So you can go and order your copy from there. You can get connected to the earthing products that I was speaking about on the podcast through there. And yeah, you can find stuff about Olivia and I, and then see any upcoming projects that we do have, because we do plan on writing more books. So.
Oh, awesome. So what are some, if you don't mind divulging, if you care to, any ideas or topics that you're throwing around?
Yeah. Well, actually, they've actually started the second book. It's all about kids and autism. So it's going to be stories on kids and autism. And then I know that we are going to be writing a book. This book is just of women's stories, and we're going to be doing one specifically of stories of men that have overcome ailments through grounding as well. So yes, we're getting started on those. It's going to probably be a series.
Oh, that's fantastic. A great idea. I love that.
Yes, super exciting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And now for those who aren't aware, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You do have your other book that's out, which is also a bestseller. Where can folks find that as well?
Yeah, so they can find my book, The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness, on Amazon. They can find it on forbiddenknowledge.com, or they can find it on my website, elisabethoekstra.com. So either three of those places, you guys can look it up and find it. That was a serious passion project of mine as well. And the response I've gotten back has been phenomenal. So thanks to everyone that's been supporting that book. If you haven't wrote a review and you read it and you feel, inclined to do so, please do so, because it does help sell the books more so if you write reviews. So I would appreciate your guys' support in that way.
It's awesome. Yeah. And we'll be sure, we always do. We put the links below in the description of the podcast, in the video, just so folks can help find the books and the projects that are going on. And the two podcasts, you've got the podcast going on as well, too.
Yes, so fun. So we've really expanded the Forbidden Knowledge Podcast Network this year. I have one on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Maria Carson, and that's all about new understandings and mental breakthroughs. So we go deep on everything mental health, from fitness. I mean, she's a 4-time world champion bodybuilder, and she's certified in nutrition science, and she's just a phenomenal human being. So we go into stories, we go into science, we go into fitness, we go into health and wellness and spirituality and everything in that podcast. So it's an amazing podcast. We actually just brought someone on board named Kika Wise, and she's a business person. She is actually launching her new podcast on our network, which will be at 7:30 on Tuesdays, called Behind the Hustle. And it's going to be all about financial literacy and building businesses and extra streams of revenue. So really excited. We just signed that one on a couple of days ago. Then we have Roderick Martin, who has Why the Big Secret, and his is about conspiracy and UFOs and aliens, and really good show. Very interesting. So he's there on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Then we have Courtney Kane Thies. She's a psychic medium, and she has her show on the network every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. She sometimes does live readings. She does, and interviews people and really helps to enhance people's spiritual connection with themselves and their guides. And she's been my spiritual guide or guide for the last 10 years. And so she's really helped me through a lot of different things, and a very, very talented psychic medium. Then we have a new podcast as well called The Mental Strategist. That's every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. with Antonina Ashford and Nicole Shepard. Nikki Speaks, who has a show on the Forbidden Knowledge TV network. That's all about strategies, current events, holistic ways of healing. And Nikki's actually a certified therapist, and Nina is a certified trauma release expert. So those two together have a very, very interesting podcast that we just launched a couple weeks ago. Then, of course, Billy has his podcast every Thursday at 8 p.m., which is about everything Agent Civ, aliens, and everybody knows Billy Carson, so I don't need to go deep into that one. And then finally, we have my other podcast, Biohack Your Best Life, on Fridays at 8 p.m. that I co-host with Billy. And that one's super fun. We talk about a lot of science and ways to biohack your best life. And then we have our one episode a month that we do biohack your sex life. So we talk about, ways to enhance that as well. So that's our network. And I'm so excited to, just for the next year of all of our great people that we have involved, and just, the information that's going out to the public. I mean, it's really, really inspiring. So.
It really is. I mean, sincerely, everything that you and Billy have been doing with Forbidden Knowledge has just been fantastic. I think there's just so much more information getting out there to people, and you create such wonderful platforms for people to be able to access that. So thank you for your services and what you're doing, sincerely.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that so much. So much. Yeah, it's a grind, but it's super worth it. It's super worth it.
I bet. I know you two are always constantly going. So that's why you got to take that time and earth yourselves.
Absolutely. Right. Read a book and get grounded.
Heck yes. And where can folks find you on the internet?
Yes, people can find me at Elisabeth Hoekstra. That's ELISABETHIHOEKSTRA on Instagram and Facebook. And that's actually my website as well. So ElisabethIHoekstra.com. And then, just search my name, Elisabeth Hoekstra, and you guys will find me all over the place. I mean, I do a lot of shows and a couple workshops here and there. And we started our mentoring group, Maria and I. So we have numbmentoring.com in case you guys are interested in getting mentored. We have 2 meetings a month. When it comes to that, we just launched, so that's exciting. Just Google me. I'm sure you'll be able to find me.
That's awesome. And folks can sign up for any of that as well through your website?
Yes, through my website and numbmentoring.com. Yeah, they want to get mentored.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, Elisabeth, I know you've got a busy day. I cannot thank you enough for joining me again today and just spending some time with us. Your energy is always welcome. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate both you guys a lot, and your support in us and our platform. I mean, it's really, really, we love it. We love you guys. So thank you so much.
And there you have it. I can't thank Elisabeth enough for all of her time, her energy. Thank you so much for all that you do. We have all the links to everything that we were talking about down below, so you can be sure to check out Elisabeth's new book, The Mother Earth Effect. You can find that at Amazon or anywhere you buy your favorite books. Also, be sure to check out her best-selling book, The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness, a must-have. I can't recommend it enough, sincerely. It was so awesome to hear about all the wonderful things going on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. You can also find out more information at forbiddenknowledge.com, and would absolutely implore you to check out Forbidden Knowledge TV. It's a fantastic streaming network where you can find some conscientious content. Thank you all so much for watching, for listening. Please take a moment, leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Be sure to hit that like button, and we really hope that you've taken a moment to subscribe to the channel. On behalf of George and myself, thank you. And until next time, take care of one another and keep thinking for yourself.